Ooh, that was a scary picture. All right, evening. Firstly, it's remarkable you're here. I wish Nick Gibb was here, realising just how committed the people in the country that he tells are rubbish often are. But I'm going to crack on. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the crazy decisions we have to make. But I need to start off with a little bit about my crazy life over the last few years. You might know some of those people. And I'm not talking about Mr. Drew. What's funny about those people is they all asked for our photograph. We didn't ask for theirs. Apart from Will, the in-betweener. Because Will's got a nickname. He's called a briefcase, rhymes with banker. And Mr. Drew had the same nickname at my school. So that's why that photo's there. And who would have guessed a semi-literate PE teacher from South East London would have a book on Amazon that made it to number 1 on the education list? It was 99p at the time. Just so I'd let you know that. And, you know, to appear in Alistair Campbell's book Winners, it's been mad. But the most important thing has been that I'm still at my school and I'm still doing what I love, and that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit. That's Passmores. That's what we look like. That's our heart space. And every hour of every day, the young people walk through there and they go from one lesson to the other, and I can stand outside my office and see them. I'm sure many of you have observed your children changing lessons, certainly in a secondary school setting. It's like they've never seen each other before, or we're not going to see each other for months again. And that's our space. The words you can see, they're the cooperative values, because we're in a cooperative school. So we use the shop round the corner, but we don't use the bank. That's basically where we are with that. Just a little bit about Passmores, just to give you a bit of a flavour. It's very white, it's very British, it's very working class, 56% white British males. The one I'm going to talk about really is the sort of the bottom few. They're my biggest challenge. It's also the things I'm proudest of. And you may have picked up over the summer holidays a few of the challenges around the bottom one. We had a Polish man kicked to death in Harlow by teenage children, by 15-year-old boys. And that's sort of the challenge that we've got. But I'm going to try and talk about leadership. I'm going to try and talk about teaching and learning. I want you just to clock how many statements we've got. Okay, that's sort of going to be a little bit of an issue that I'm going to discuss as we go through. I probably don't need to talk about any of that stuff because you're living that, and I'm living that, and there's madness going on around us. But they're not the biggest challenges I think that you've got and we've got at the moment. The biggest challenge I've got is that, which is a bit odd because we all go Ofsted, they're all over us. Can't be true. But actually, head teachers have very little scrutiny. We can do what we want as academies these days, which is great if you're not an egomaniac lunatic. Because if you are one of those, you can still do what you want. And I think we probably had a few of issues around that, around world wars. People with no scrutiny and no checks and balances. And there are head teachers around the country. I hope you don't work for one. If you work here, I know you don't. But I don't know where you will come from. That just uses that and puts pressure on you to do things that you shouldn't do, that isn't for the best interest for the young people. And that lack of scrutiny is a real issue for me. We are able to make whatever choice we want to make. And, there are some schools which are embracing of its community and others that are embracing of parts of it. If you remember back to my number 61, we have 50-odd% of all the statements in Harlow, and we are very open about our inclusion. We are a very inclusive school. We love our inclusion. We celebrate it every day, but so does every other head teacher in the town. They celebrate our inclusion too. They celebrate our inclusion by sending us lots of children who they can't meet the needs of. I don't know where you are in your journeys as teachers, but whatever you are, you're a leader of people, because in your classroom, you are in control. That's your space. And where would you want to be? And now, it all depends on how you view leadership, whether you see yourself a leader or not. Because people often think there's no room for the quiet leader. But actually, I think there is. Leadership for me doesn't look like this. Hold on, I've got to do a hyperlink. Excuse me.
We will fight! No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you!
This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well,
I'm not going home.
We've got too far! And I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause.
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine, we'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say
We can break this army here.
And win just one for the Gipper.
But I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time.
You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
if you would be free men, then you must fight to fulfill that promise. Let us
Cut out their living guts
1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender.
Victory or death.
That's the Chicago way.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Don't let him die! Clap!
All right, let's fly.
And gentlemen in England, now up bed. Shall
No, my name is the Lord.
when I tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take
Our Independence Day.
That's Hollywood's leadership. A couple of things I want you to recognise. How many women did you see? 4 out of 40. Only 1 in 10 of you are good enough to be a leader, ladies. Didn't know if you knew that. What else do you know about them? They love a monologue. Leaders love a monologue. They love that part of being a leader. They love that thumping of the chest, Gettysburg Address moment. But actually, that's not what leadership is. Leadership is the quiet conversation in the corridor as a child walks past, because you know maybe they support Chelsea, probably not up here. And Chelsea got whooped this weekend, and you just have a conversation with them to engage them with the fact that you're a teacher and they are a human being too. Or the dinner lady who just understands that somebody needs some help. That's leadership in a different way. But unfortunately, I don't know about you, but I think the government... I put ATM because I want to be down with the kids. Okay, at the top there, just to let you know. I knew there'd be some younger staff here. But I know where this government's driving us. I know what they want as leaders. I know what they want as people who are going to front schools. They want the left-hand side. They want one person to be accountable. They want it to be noisy. They want it to be about ego. They want the pants worn outside the trousers. That's what they want. But actually, the leadership that you all show within your classrooms and within your conversations and within your dialogue with another colleague is probably more likely to be on the right than on the left. So, I said at the start, we're an inclusive school, but there's no scrutiny. So, why do I choose to be inclusive? Why does my school choose to be inclusive? Why does my school choose to have over 50% of the statements in Harlow, or the HCPs in Harlow, in one school when there's 5 secondary schools? Well, for me, it's still about teaching and learning. And we made a decision only last year, the local authority were looking for a school to host an enhanced provision for autism. And put my hand straight up. But I was really aware as I did it that my staff might be going, thanks, Vic, more kids, more challenge, more difficulty, more differentiation, all of that stuff that goes alongside having young people with challenging behaviour or challenges for themselves. But actually, the reason I said yes is because it is about teaching and learning. It is because if my school has that holistic, inclusive approach, it will help my teachers become better teachers, and they'll move on beyond that. Because if you look at that, that's very well researched sort of directions for teaching. This is what you should be doing if you have an autistic child in your classroom. And I don't know about you, but when I read those, I want that in every classroom, for every child, for every lesson. I want all of those things. My son's in year 9, not at my school, at a school down the road. And if his teachers in every lesson he went to did that, I'd be really pleased. I think they've done a great job. But actually, that's aimed at how you make sure an autistic child is able to access the curriculum. That's the advice you're given. So for me, you should teach every lesson like you have an autistic child in the classroom. Be clear about your routines and your rules. Be clear about the other things that go there. Model making mistakes. Engage them. Don't just say, here's group work, one of you can do the work while the rest of you watch. Set rules, set boundaries. And I want to give you a little example of what it looks like at Passmores. This is just from This film was made by the young man and his father that stars in it.
Make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you. 'Cause there's something inside so strong, so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough, when we know better, just look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it anyway. 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 Because there's something inside so strong. Inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
I'm doing my first day of PE today, ever in this entire school.
How are you feeling about that, Jack?
Strong.
Okay, good.
I love my school. My staff are remarkable. The fact that no matter which young person we say yes to, they find a way to teach them. They find a way to integrate them into our community. And it's been a real privilege being here today. Sitting in that space down there at lunchtime was a real privilege. The sense of community was evident and screamed at us. And for me, that young man deserves the best education he can possibly have, just like everybody else. But he came to us from the only outstanding school in the whole of Harlow because they couldn't meet his needs. Ofsted still think they're outstanding. I'm sorry, that's not good enough. So my plea is that you remember the Jacks. Imagine you've got Jack in your classroom every time you plan a lesson or every time that you think about the structure you're going to put together. Because if you can meet Jack's needs, you'll meet the need of every child in your class. And actually that's what we want to do, isn't it? Because ultimately, if we don't decide that these young people are welcomed, especially right now, I don't know about you, but the world feels quite a divided and quite horrible place at the moment. And actually, we have no reason to allow our young people to feel like that too. And so my little plea really from today is when you go sit down tomorrow and you're planning your lessons, or over the weekend you're planning the lessons for the next week, even if you haven't got a young person who's got the challenges that Jack's got, plan like you have. Because if you plan like you have, you'll meet every young person's needs, and your classroom will become an area of empathy, support, and success. And ultimately, that's what we want. So I've finished waffling. Thanks very much. Cheers.